Hi, nice to see you. Today we're going to talk about equations, parts of equations, and how to determine if a given value is actually a solution to an equation. First, let's start with the definition. An equation is a mathematical sentence containing an equal sign and showing that two equivalent values or expressions are equal. Hence the name equation, equal. Very important that it has an equal sign in it. Here's an example of an equation. X plus 2 equals 6. An equation says that whatever's on the left, which in this case is x plus 2, is equal to whatever is on the right, which is 6. Hence, equation, equal. X plus 2 needs to be equal to 6. Let's talk about some parts of equations. So let's use this equation as an example. This is 4x minus 7 equals 5. It actually means that 4 times whatever x is minus 7 needs to equal 5. Let's first talk about the coefficient. In this case, it's the number 4. It's the number that's being multiplied by your variable. And speaking of variables, the x represents our variable in this particular equation. Then we have constants, the numbers that do not change. That's the 7 and the 5. And the biggie, the thing that makes this an equation instead of an expression, is the equal sign, right there in the middle. It's like a balance. Whatever's on the left, the 4x minus 7, needs to equal whatever's on the right, which is 5. Here are some vocabulary reminders. Let's take a look at this particular equation again. 4x minus 7 equals 5. A variable is a symbol for a number we don't know yet. It is usually a letter like x or y. In this case, it's an x. A number on its own is called a constant, and in this particular equation, we have two of those, 7 and 5. A coefficient is a number that is being multiplied by a variable. 4x means 4 times x, so 4 is a coefficient. And variables on their own, so without a number in front of them, actually have a coefficient. We just don't usually write it. The coefficient there is 1, so x is really the same as 1x. All right, now let's talk about what makes something a solution to an equation. Solutions to equations are values for the variable that make the two sides equal. You want to think of an equation as balanced scales, where both sides are equal to the same thing. So take a look at this example here. 4 times 2 should be equal to 6 if this was truly an equation, but since 4 times 2 is equal to 8, and 8 is not equal to 6, this is not an equation because those two sides are not equal. In the second set of scales, we'll see that 3 plus 2 is equal to 5. And so yes, this is an equation because both sides of the scale, both sides of the equation are equal. If an equation has a variable, you can check to see if a number is actually a solution by substituting the number in for the variable. If, after evaluating, you get the same number on both sides of the equation, or of the equal sign, you have found a solution. Let's take a look at some examples of this. Here's your equation. X plus 15 equals 27. Notice that the x is red here. It just reminds you that that's the variable. That's what we're trying to solve for. And we want to determine if x equals 12 is a solution. So like I said, we're going to use substitution. First thing we're going to do is write out the equation substituting the values. So 12 plus 15 needs to be equal to 27 if 12 is a solution. When you add those two, you end up getting 27. And since those two are equal, that x equals 12 is a solution because 27 is equal to 27. And 12 plus 15 got us that 27. Let's check to see if 10 is a solution to the same equation. Take a look at our scales. You can already see a little clue here. But 10 plus 15 needs to be equal to 27. Well, 10 plus 15 is end up equaling 25. Since 25 and 27 are not equal, x equals 10 is not a solution. They are not equal. And notice that there's only one number that will ever make this equation true. Let's take another look. How about x plus 5 equals 10? Is x equals 3 a solution? So we want to check to see if 3 works. So the first step we're going to do is the substitution. We replace the x with the 3. 3 plus 5 equals 10. Let's see if that's true. Once we evaluate it, we realize that 8 is not equal to 10, so x equals 3 is not a solution to this equation. Take a look at this equation. This is 30 divided by y, or over y, equals 6. And we want to check to see if y equals 5 is a solution. Let's first substitute. 30 divided by 5 equals 6. And then we're going to evaluate. And we find that 30 divided by 5 does in fact equal 6. Since 6 is equal to 6, yes, y equals 5 is a solution. 8 times z equals 95, and we want to determine if z equaling 12 is a solution. First step we do is to substitute. And 8 times 12 needs to equal 95. Well, when we do the math, when we evaluate it, we find that 96 is what 8 times 12 is, and that does not equal 95, meaning that z equals 12 is not a solution to the equation. All right, now you try. Remember to pause the video in between problems to make sure that you get them right, and then come back to check to see how you did. We want to determine if x equals 11 is a solution to the equation 9 plus x equals 21. So first, we're going to substitute, replacing the x with an 11. Then, we're going to evaluate. 9 plus 11 equals 20. Since 20 does not equal 21, x equals 11 is not a solution to this equation. All right, try this one. Here's your equation, and we want to determine if n equals 17 is a solution. So we're going to substitute. Plug in 17 where n was, and then actually evaluate it. Do the math. 17 minus 12 is equal to 5. Since 5 equals the 5 that we had on the right side, we know we have a balanced equation, balanced solution, so n equals 17 is a solution of that equation. Try this one. 25 times r equals 75, and we want to determine if r equals 3 is the solution. First step, substitute. 25 times 3 needs to equal 75. When we evaluate, we find that 75 does equal 75, so that means that r equals 3 is a solution. How about this one? 72 divided by g equals 9, and we want to determine if g equals 8 is a solution. First we substitute. So instead of g, now we put an 8 in its place. 72 divided by 8, when we evaluate it, it gives me a 9. Since 9 is equal to the 9 we had on the right side of the equation, we know that g equals 8 is a solution. How about this one? 28 plus c equals 43. And we want to see if c equals 15 is a solution. First we substitute. When we substitute, we replace the c with the 15. Then we evaluate, and 28 plus 15 is in fact equal to 43. Since I have 43 on both sides of my equation, I know that c equals 15 is a solution. All right, this one's a little trickier. We want to know if 111 is a solution to this equation. First step, just like always, is to substitute. Now here's where it gets a little tricky. When you actually evaluate this, you're going to find that this equals 10.090909. It's going to repeat. And that's really not all that important. What you need to figure out is that the solution, or the evaluation, when you evaluate 111 divided by 11, you get something that's not exactly equal to 10. It's super close, but not quite there. Once you can prove that 111 divided by 11 is not equal to exactly 10, then you know that 111 is not a solution to the equation. All right, try this one. K over 8, or k divided by 8, needs to equal 4. We need to determine whether k equals 24 is a solution or not. So the first step is to substitute. 24 divided by 8 equals 4. And then we actually evaluate, and 24 divided by 8 is equal to 3. Since 3 is not equal to 4, then k equals 24 is not a solution to the equation. Here's a quick summary of what you've learned today. An equation is a mathematical sentence containing an equal sign showing that two sides or two equivalent values or expressions. An equation says that what is on the left is going to be equal to what is on the right. Solutions to equations are values for the variable that make the two sides equal. Think of an equation as a balanced scale. If an equation has a variable, you can check to see if a number is a solution by substituting the number in for the variable. If, after evaluating, you get the same number on both sides of the equal sign, you know you have found a solution to the equation. I hope this video has helped you understand a little bit more about what an equation is and how to determine whether or not a number is a solution.